Hi guys, welcome to our live today. Um, so today we are going to be talking about how we can rebuild lives in community and what our role is as individuals, but also corporately if we are able to go corporate. I'll be joined by Tumushabe. So as we wait, I'll just play a song as we wait for him. Hope you can hear it. So how have you guys been? I hope you've watched all the previous IG lives that I have done. We've had interesting conversations and I look forward to many more. Yeah, so Stevens is here. I've proved my voice is not that deep. My mind can comprehend. There is beauty, but I can understand. Jesus, it's you. Hi, Steve.
Hi,
How are you?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can push my camera back. Maybe push in
Ah,
front. Are you hearing
maybe.
the song I'm playing?
Yeah, I am. How are you? I can see
I was
friends or
playing,
yeah.
I was playing the song as I was waiting for you. But God is good. How have you been, Steve? So good to see you.
I am okay, and I know being okay is not really an answer, but um, I happen to I happen to have work on my health. That's like workout, jogging, and everything. What comes up with jogging? It's so funny. Sometimes when you've taken so long without jogging, you feel like the whole body is not yours. Sometimes, and
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm okay. I'm doing fine, and yeah, serving the people in the community. As well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Hi, Katie. Good to see you always and everyone that is joining in. Thank you so much. Today, we are going to be talking about renewing hope and rebuilding lives in our community, what our role is. And we are so privileged to have Stevens, who is you're the who. I will let you introduce yourself. So you go ahead.
Okay. My name is Stevens Tumushabe, just like as what I use on the Instagram. And what I basically do, I am a leader at Render Outreaches. I fear those things of being called CEO, Smania founder, or what, but I am a leader
Yeah.
at, yeah, I am a leader at Render Outreaches, and we aim at rebuilding communities and bringing about godly lifestyles in our
Yeah.
communities.
Yeah.
That's a brief. And I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian, and man, I can't live without God. That's very impossible.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I like to do is to find hope and like hope really and encouragement in the stories of everyday people. And I'd like to hear your salvation story, Steve.
Interesting. Well, my grandmother was the person that laid out all my salvation journey. I mean, she led me to Christ when I was about 9 years old, and then by that time she even quickly took me for immersion. So I got baptized and all that. But by then, honestly, as a child, I didn't know what exactly to do. But later on, when I was in high school, the very first year in high school, that was senior one. So I recommitted my life to Jesus. I was by then 13 years old. So I got born again from my local church, which is currently Watoto Church at downtown. And from in there later, years later, I got into ministry, started serving in hospitality, and then welcoming people, telling people you're welcome for today, something of that sort. And then I got baptized again because now this time around I knew exactly what I was getting into, and God was very, very gracious. And that's how I've been able to walk this journey of salvation. I am a Christian. I'll always say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And from the time you accepted Christ to now, to being like in between there, who do you think has been the biggest influence on your Christian journey? A person.
A person. Wow, it will be my grandmother, really. May
Mhm.
her soul rest in peace. I remember even last year when I would visit her in the hospital because she couldn't read. Even actually, for all these my 25 years, I had already fallen her when she's already an old lady. So she would guide me through prayer every single morning. Sometimes I would not like it, waking up at 6 and then pray. She was the early bird. By 5, she's already out seated at the veranda, and it's really very interesting. And then she would wake us to pray every evening. We would pray. So helping her and reading the Bible for her, and then the verses where she couldn't, for me it really encouraged me. But not surprisingly, but by God's grace, she was able to tell some of the words and some of the encouragements. From the stories that I would read for her, from the books in the Bible that she would identify and share and guide me. I remember one thing. I didn't grow up with my father, so and then my grandmother being there, she was like, people without fathers have also grown and they have also worked their way and they have had their own, property or whatever it would be. However, I would like to introduce you to your new father, and then I'm like, okay, now here we go again. And then she's like,
Mhm.
your father is God, no one else. He's everywhere. Whenever you meet him, you can actually talk to him and he will respond right immediately. And from there and then, I took God to be my father. Reason that I'm trying to reconcile biological father, but have father. And that's all as my grandmother and the Holy Spirit.
Okay, that's amazing. So tell us about render outreaches. How did it start? Where did the idea come from? And how is it going so far? Tell us about render.
Um, Teachers, wow. When I mentioned it, I feel, but render outreaches is it's not yet really an organization like most of the guys will think. It came back out of service or out of my sacrifice to the community. It is a reflection of what I would like it is. And from there and then I've seen it grow. I've seen do so much more and actually come currently our status. Okay, the genesis of it all, and I to do children in the slums. By then, I didn't have any idea. So here we go. We do devotions every Saturday in the slums, and the Holy Spirit was like, "But to start by a name, you have to name something. It doesn't have just to go. You go. How will people get him? Then yes, a name, but you have a name for what you have to get a name for what you're doing." So at that moment, I asked God. I asked friends like, "I have these outreaches that to get a name, and from there and then I want God to guide me through on how and what name that I would call it. And then render comes in, giving, giving, just a of kindness, and that's the year. So far, this makes it a third year in the people in the community.
Okay, Steve, I don't know why, but
Yeah.
we are missing part of your audio. Like you're talking, then some things are going. I wonder why. Are you using earphones or?
They may disconnect them.
Okay, thank you. You let me know when they're disconnected.
Okay, so what did you miss?
Oh, now I can't see you on my screen. It's just me.
Should I leave and come back?
I think so. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Okay.
You still can't see me?
Nope. Have you gone off? Okay. All right. So today, Steven share his story and the journey of Render Outreaches. So he oversees a ministry called Render Outreaches, and it goes into community and street children and every person really, and gives them food, but above all, there is discipleship and introducing them to the person of Jesus Christ. And we know that it is really through Christ Jesus that our lives are changed, and that is the person that we really need above everything else. So I will invite him again because we were not getting him properly. So I'll just invite him again and we will go. Mhm. Okay, we play my ambient music. Everything I see, so good to not believe, so good to not believe, so good to not believe. Everything I see, so good to believe. Hey,
Hey, hi, once again.
but
Am I sound and clear? Oh,
yep.
okay. So
Okay,
what had you missed?
you had said how I had asked you to give us a background of Render Outreaches, how it came about, and you said you would
Yeah,
have devotion slums, and
yeah.
then God told you to get a name for what you were doing. I think that is where we were. Yes.
Okay. So from in there, when God asked me to get a name, so I was like, I asked some people. I was like, "What do you think?" I would love to get a name for my outreaches, for what I'm doing, because after all, I had so many people who would actually use some of, like, let's say, my pictures for their own, and for me, I was really like hurt. But God responded, and He gave me a name, and that is Render, which is
Mhm.
simply means giving, and that's what we've based on for the past 3 years, to just go in a community, give of ourselves, and serve these people regardless of who they are, give counseling, free counseling, reach out of
Yeah.
some of their needs. And so far, that's Renda, that's who we are. And then I asked him,
Mhm.
so what's now with Renda, what's up, and then he's like, oh, well, you're supposed to return to the people in the community. Sometimes when you've been somewhere, it's so easy for you to forget, and most of us have grown up in some of these communities. And so I was like, you're supposed to return to those communities and tell them what you believe in, of your faith. And I was like, oh wow, that's very interesting. And then, like, what are you going to do when you go back? And then I was like, well, yeah, we'll talk about you. So the represent came in. So we return, we represent Jesus. in the communities. But then thirdly, we'll look to the growth, that is reproduction, to the growth of the people, their faith, increasing the number of the kingdom. The number of salvations in the kingdom. That's the reproducing is all about. And so far, that's what we've been doing. We've had so many people give their lives to Jesus Christ. Some of them really testify, like as we'll be hearing through the stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have a particular group of people that you reach out to, or like community-wise, you just go and do discipleship? Do you go to community and get people, divide them up and say these are girls, these are children? Because we know that children basically internalize things different compared to adults. Do you group the boys alone and the girls alone? What is the system, and like what goes on a normal day when you go to the community, to any particular community?
Respectively, I have different categories of people that I go to visit. I have families in the slums. These are the families, the mothers, the parents, the guardians of the children. And then the other category is the teenage girls in the slums, teenagers that are above the age of 10 years, from 10 to 20. And then I also have another category. Those are the street children that live on the streets, and that the age bracket is really open. And for the devotions, for the children's devotions, it's the age, it's between 3 years old to 13. So I don't separate them. So we all together do a memory verse. Do to know each other. So basically, those are the respective group of people. But of recent, God added another category of people, and those are the elderly, the people that are not too old, but the elderly that really been on my heart. And these lockdowns have been reaching out to them with different stuff. And these people actually, they're in their own kind of, can I say, age and cycles. So they tend to be lonely, they tend to be vulnerable. And so here I come, and to my kind of calling is like, they want me there. Sometimes they be like, okay, when do you have time? Would love, to spend some time more with you. And I'm like, well, I will get time and come. And some of them are Muslims, so it is regardless of whatever religion that these people really are, because the main goal for me is to win souls for Jesus. And through what I am able to do, the groups in the community are able to tell, and then, who knows, receive Jesus because of my acts, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that is the goal, winning souls for Christ, because that's the commission that God has given us, to make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. What are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced while you go into these communities? You talked about street children. I know that for you went away. I know that for those children, sometimes they will have a defense mechanism and not want to let anyone into their space, because of the hurt, the betrayal, or for whatever reason they might be on the street. So how do you actually break through to them? But also, what are some of the overall challenges that you have faced while you do ministry? And right now it's a lockdown. How are you doing those outreaches?
Thank you for those amazing questions. The challenges with first and foremost with street children is that ideally, I actually repressed that as God's children. I no longer refer to them as street children, and so they are human beings. They are normal, they are flesh and blood, just like you and I. They are just like any other child, but because of the differences that been due maybe to their family backgrounds or to the areas, maybe like floods, natural calamities, and all that. So they've been able to desert where they're living. And for but the highest number of these children has been because of family separations, I don't know how to put it, like separation of families, and here and there maybe the mom leaves or the dad leaves, and then the child feels alone. It's like, I don't have a future here, and then he runs away or she runs away. And the other challenge has been that they are neglected. They live on their own, and and their culture or their lifestyle of living on their own is that if they're unable to get all that they need, or there's no one to provide for them, so what they resort to is simply to drugs. Some of them smoke, some of them sniff jet fuel and different kind of sniff stuff. Some of them turn into thieves. And I realized that it's not necessarily that many or most of them are actually gangs or thieves, but some of them are just natural children just living on the street. But amidst them, there are other children that are so rude and so rough, and they would hurt you at any time of the day, even if they are not high because of the drug, but they would honestly really hurt you. So that's the challenge that I have. But then secondly, the other challenge I had was I had to change my appearance. When I went how I was before, in my normal gentleman's haircut, normal clothes and stuff, they would even run away. They would be like, on a tiny work, there's nothing good that is coming out of him. Yeah. So I had to revert to them. I had to come down to their level and get to understand them. And it was amazing to see how they opened up, to see how they shared their hearts out. And some of them, the other challenge actually that they disclosed to me immediately was how the older guys, terrorize or mistreat these young ones. And in their midst, these actually the older ones, those are the bad habits that come through, and that's how the young ones actually get to learn the drugs, get to learn the sniffing and all that. And one of the challenge that the young street children face is that that some homosexuality is taking place, because the bigger ones use these smaller ones because they are defenseless and they don't have energy to defend themselves. So you can be there, and then that child is like banang Uncle Stephen William, like mbulida, like whenever uncle at sumwechiro, he disturbs us, which I translated at sumwechiro tuba tueba say all that. So they don't have anyone to tell to unless they are confident in you, and they know that you will be able to help them out. And then the other challenge is that it's very hard, more especially when you're helping them, but you're not shifting them, rehabilitating them to a better place. You see, because it's very hard to see an impact when you're helping someone in that same situation that they are in. If you want to see the result happen, is you shift that person to a better place, and that's when they are able to actually transform into the person that you want them to be. And then different habits come, and different street children, keep on joining every street. Like every time I would do an outreach to the street children, I would actually find new faces, and then I find the old faces missing. And I would be like, Banangi, where is Sharifa? Or where is Shifra? Where is so and so? And they're like, man, that one was taken. No, the other one is on the other side. I'm like, no, that's not how things are done. And actually, that's how I think child trafficking is taking place, because there's no one that is there to follow them up. So it is these gang leaders or the area leaders that are able to actually to traffic these children, these smaller ones, to trade them for something else, and when no one is following up. So I would go find different faces, and then also see new faces. And now I'm asking, well, who are the other children that I saw the other time? And they tell you different stories that do not actually connect, because what I would love to hear was rehabilitated back to their home, back to their parents, back to their guardians, but which didn't happen. And here, such a certain NGO took them, KCCA took them. So I feel there is also a high level of child trafficking that is happening, that is in the dark, and yet that we are not giving our attention. And yes, how am I reaching them out? We are in lockdown, I have representatives in these areas. So Renda Outreaches has kind of different
representatives, more especially when it comes to the street children, we have representatives there. When it comes to the families in the slums, we have people there. When it comes to the prostitutes, these girls that are prostitutes, which have been living on the streets but have, transitioned into a kind of work that they can basically maybe think they know best, that is prostitution. So I also have representatives. So we get in touch through a phone call. I follow up, I monitor, and then I ask them, hey, I am sending this kind of help to you to help you buy food, and that's what you can use in during this time. And people are actually receiving help. Recently, we had an outreach where we went to Makere Chivulu, and we reached out to 30 families. We took them food. And these, some of the families, they're the ones that we had sent them relief money or help to buy food to keep them, taking them through the week. And so here we come in and then we add them another more food. So we are unable to use, we are adapting new system of logistics and administration in place. Yeah.
Yeah. The work has to go on.
Absolutely. I would love to say that we're in lockdown, but the honest truth is that our missions or our visions are not in lockdown. They have to keep going. We keep on operating in them because that's the call of God upon our lives. Yeah.
That's so true. And I think lockdown also kind of brings out another side of everything, because we thought we would have to go to office to work. We thought we have to literally walk to the market to buy food, but now everything has changed, and really God has shown us other ways of being effective. So I think it's also a very good wake-up call for us to still be useful and efficient in everything that we're doing, being where we are. And I think like what you're doing, having people in different places represent you, or like do the work there, and then you also reaching the people that you can reach. I think that's very much like making sure that the work still goes on,
Yeah,
so
that's very good.
yeah. The other question is, what are some of those highlights or stories that you get, one or two that you have gotten that have motivated you, not that they're your motivation, but have kind of affirmed the work that you're doing in those communities, that what you're doing is actually making a difference? One or two stories.
Wow. Thank you again. One of the stories recently is one of the family. So what they do is, because when they don't have food, they actually walk to the nearby market and collect the thrown away food stuff. For instance, if the people in the market kind of like throw away stuff, like let's say maybe a banana is damaged or a tomato or whatever it is. So when they throw it away, actually this kind of a lady, she collects that and then takes it back home and prepares that for her children, and it has been kind of like very, very interesting and heartbreaking. Heartbreaking hearing such a story like that. So in our midst in the lockdown, we're like, hey, we call her and then she's just collecting those kind of foodstuffs. So I'm like, well, we are here to help you. We're here to assist you. So we are sending you some help, and let go of that and just go home and buy food. And that for me really touched my heart. I remember I actually broke down on a call seeing that people are doing that, and she's not alone, but there are so many other people that are going through the same thing. Then the other one is about joint teenage girls, which is and I'll share one story from the girls that are prostitutes, the teenage girls. So these girls, it's very interesting. Now, these girls have grown from the street. They are born on the street. So there's no education. The government has not intervened. And literally everyone is simply seeing them and taking them as sex slaves. And so that's the kind of life they live in. And what they resort into, they find themselves into, is simply prostitution. trading prostitution. So and the age brackets are 18 years, I mean 15 years, 16. That's the age, the age group. And you find a teenage girl that is 15 or 16, and she already has a baby, and even there's another one on the way. You're like, oh God, what's really happening? So what we did was to improve on their menstrual hygiene. And, we collected the sanitary towels that had other, hygiene products or items. And so we made a kind of like an outreach to reach out to those girls. So what we did, to our surprise, a 15-year-old or 16-year-old has never even held a sanitary towel, even doesn't know how it looks like and even how to use it. And he's like, Banangim Somesa, how do you wear this? How do you put on this? So and being to our advantage, we had peer, what we call them health or menstrual health workers or practitioners that were easily able to teach them on how to use or how to wear the sanitary towels. So you would be asking, for all along, what are they actually using? How are they going through life? It's very, very tough. It's very, very no one pays attention to them. And later on, when we are done with the outreach, and some of them, they come to you and discuss and be like, we would love to get out of all this, but the challenge is the place where we're living in. Because you've gone, yes, we've sung, I am tired of all this, but I'm still going to do the same habits again after you've left.
Yeah.
And you live thinking, well, we've given to them, but then again, there's that transformation is not really, you've sown the seeds, but you all know that at some point maybe they're going to dry or something of that sort. So for me, that blessed us, and actually still reach out to them more and more and more. And the beauty of it, some of them relocate. Some of them get to know where their families are or their guardians are, and that's something that we would love to venture into by God's grace in the able, to relocate them they're able to go back to their loved ones. So that's something that we would love to do in the coming future. So those are the two stories that I really have, like you said.
Yeah, okay. That's amazing. How can someone out there, I know that many times we wait for the big thing, for us to make a difference, but how can a normal person who will watch this
Yeah.
right now or will, go to your page, how can they get involved in their community first,
Yeah.
How can they actually make a difference in their communities where they are?
That's a very good question. Our community, when we say communities, it's not necessarily we are saying maybe places like are far away from us, but we all know by definition that a community is a group of people that share common interest.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So a community can be your family, it can be your neighbors, but now what we're talking about is going beyond yourself. It's not all about me, I, and myself. No, it is about the neighbor. The scripture says that love your neighbor as you would love yourself. So the first thing that you would have to do is you have to acknowledge the need, that is in the community. Actually, before you acknowledge even the need, is be available to bring transformation. Let your availability in the community be of a great impact. Do not sit on yourself and think, well, it is in lockdown, so I've got to sleep, and it's much more meaningful even to the call of God upon your life when you actually be available for your neighbor, But secondly, acknowledge the need in your community. There are much bigger needs but also there are also some other needs that you can meet. For instance, one of the needs that I know you can meet is you can manage to talk to one person when they need someone to talk to. Secondly, that other need that I know you can meet, we call it self recreation or something. You can do games, you can connect and get to help one another and do life in your community, because communities are not do not communities are God's. They belong to God, for lack of better word. Communities belong to
Yeah.
God, and they are God initiation. It's nothing like maybe the government, the authorities. Yes, the government is simply the steward of the communities, but it has got to be our responsibility to take care and to see
Mhm.
and to meet the needs that are in our communities.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, share the little that you have. Do you remember the Good Samaritan woman? After with the only bread or the kapla that she had, and she just wanted to make the cookies to eat it with her son, and they call it a day, or maybe that was it all. But
Right.
the Good Samaritan woman was able to see the need when this man of God came and he's like, hey, make me a cookie, make me a biscuit, and make sure you make for yourself. This lady was like, what is he talking about? Does he know that we are in famine? you know but
Yeah.
and the God of man was like, you do as I've told you. But later on, to not to God's way of doing things, the flour never ran out for the entire season. So likewise
Right.
with us, yeah, we are supposed to share the little that we have, and doesn't mean that you need really to have much. Share the little cloth maybe you have. It can be a cloth, it can be, you can identify one girl and be like, I can share with you my sanitary towels. But and that's actually a greater need. I realized that even in the lockdown, many teenage girls in our communities, in our neighborhood, are struggling because their guardians are not working, their parents are not working, and if they're working, the needs are high. And so what they decide to do is to keep quiet and keep silent, and they have needs. But you would ask, what is that one thing that if I am to help you about, I will help you, and they'll be able to disclose them to you. So those are some of the things that I really think. And then share, talk to someone. Once you've known the need, talk to your other friend, talk to your circles of influence, that can help you, can contribute, because it's a community. Now it's the unity kind of thing. So when you have a big base of friendship, then you're able to bring a huge impact in the community through that.
Right.
Friends, use your influence that the Lord has given you for the
Yeah.
great or for the growth of your community.
Yeah. Also, one thing that popped up in my head while you were sharing, Steve, is we
Yeah,
need to be self-aware. You talked about recognizing the need around us, but we
yeah,
need to be self-aware of what are we able to do. You as an individual,
yeah,
what has God put in your inside, on your inside? What are those
yeah,
passions that you have? What are you good at doing? And you will be able to actually do more when you know what you can offer, versus not knowing really, can I help? Can I not? We need to recognize I'm strong in
yeah,
this side. Say maybe I'm good at speaking with people or connecting with people. If I'm good at that, then I know I might not be good at walking around and doing the evangelism they're talking about, but I can do one-on-one, and I can go and
yeah,
talk to a girl or a boy and find out what they're going through. Last
sure.
day, a few days back, I think the day before yesterday, I saw the news and there was a 15-year-old girl who hung herself. I don't know if you saw that. And it was because the family and the neighbors were making fun of her because she did not get a first grade and got a second grade. And it was too much for her, probably because she couldn't, like, she did not believe in herself, or, the words around did not even make it easy for her to believe in herself,
Yeah,
and there was no one to talk to, and such a young girl has just died, because of something that someone said, and yet, someone could have done something very different to change that life and to even save it. So,
that's
yeah.
very correct. And the other thing, as you're talking, Like, you know how I have my friend, she's called Samantha. You guys, I think you might be knowing her. And Samantha is gifted with art. And she's like, I would give my gift, my skill, to the community. She said, I'm just available for me to have other people that I can share my art skill with. And we have people who love reading. There are so many people in our community that do not know how, that do not know how to read and write. And we have adults who do not know, we have children who do not know. So that area of the need of reading and writing is actually high. And so if God has provided for you and you've been able to make it to whatever level of education you've made it, and you're so gifted with teaching, people how to read and write, that would be another area for you to serve the people in a community. It looks small, but it will bring joy. But then also, that's the purpose of God upon your life. And then I like the last live you did with Paula when you said that we should be able to pay attention to one another, the people in our midst. And that girl's suicidal thoughts came simply because there was no one that was able to know, man, I need someone to talk to. And no one was able to identify or to observe the isolation that she went through, because of course with those suicidal thoughts, you isolate yourself from others, the behavior changes, and no one was able to pay attention. And then after she was like, well, there's even no one that is seeing, why can't I heal myself? Yeah, I understand what you're saying. That's very important for us, that there are so many teenagers that really need help in our communities, and it all begins with us. And lastly, a few days back, I have my friend, she's called Barbara Kasekende. She's a manager at Stanbic. She's doing national championship kind of thing. So a few days back, the youths in her community raided and stole her all electronics. and she was so mad. She was like, man, can you imagine? I can't recommend a youth or a teenager in my community because of what they did. They are thieves. And for me, what I learned from in there was like, we do not have to leave communities for authorities, for governments, to come and where government has failed, you and I are there to be the government,
Right.
to be the godly, heavenly government. This is in this case, not the earthly one, and to be the change that we want to see. And if we don't do that, those are the outcomes that we'll get to see that will hurt us. It will not be a safe environment for us to live in.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, how can people partner with Render Outreaches to reach more people and make an impact?
I beg your question again.
I was saying, sorry, I think it's my connection. How can people, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. How can people partner with Render Outreaches to join, you in the vision that you have to reach the different types of people that you have mentioned? There's the elderly, there's the middle age, there's the teenagers, and there's the very little ones that are not even yet teenagers. Because if you go to the Render Outreaches page or even Stephen's page, you will see the different, categories of people that he reaches, and it's basically all round. So how does a person watching or wants to help, how do they do that?
Thank you so much. One of the needs that we have, I wouldn't, some of us, how there's a need in the community of dressing families or clothing families, and most of us have a lot of clothes at our disposal, and some of us even take about 3 months without wearing that same cloth. And yet someone there is, being in a dirty kind of thing, and there's nothing. And so what we do is every Thursday, if you have clothes, you would love to donate clothes or clothings, we pick them. You only simply organize them for us, and then we're able to come and pick them. And the costs are on us. Then secondly, we have we need volunteers really doing the outreaches, doing when we are open. Yeah, We have outreaches that are happening. So would like you in person to come and join, and to come and be part of the activities and be part of these street children and see how their lifestyle is, or these girls, to see the impact, to hear their stories, but then also to add your contribution, because that's the desire in you, that you would love to see communities transformed. And then the other thing is that I had not yet mentioned, that God is leading us to, is you can be able to celebrate your birthdays with us or with a family in the slum. Yeah, isn't
Okay.
that cool?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Because
you're
I
able to
like that.
celebrate. Yeah, I can see. So you can be able to celebrate your birthday, or your Thanksgiving, or any of your special occasion in your life with any of the families in the slums. And then we have slum tours that take place. So if you're there and you want to tour a slum, you want to know the lifestyle, you want to see the families, you're also welcome. Those are some of the activities that we are doing. But currently, what we are doing is we have render a food hamper. You know, render means give a food hamper to the families in the slums and the street children. And our food hamper only costs 26,000, and the family is able to go for the next 4 days in a week, and that would save them really a lot. And then again, as renders, we are not into money kind of things. Even if you have physical food, we can pick it and be able to deliver it to the families. And then also we are giving, actually, we are giving masks to the communities, you know. And we were successful to go in the slums on Tuesday, and then we gave out masks in order for the in order to keep people safe from COVID-19, because we can't reject that, you know. And then we have also another campaign that is happening, the teenage girls menstrual hygiene packages are available. If you know, or you have a teenager in your community that you think needs a menstrual hygiene package, it's, you actually simply DM us, or the numbers are there, call us, and then we are able to send through that package to that girl, so that she doesn't have to go through most of the challenges that they really have in their community. One of the story is that there's a mother, so when she goes to hustle in the community, what happens is there are some young boys that make chapatis. So at the end of the day, they deceive this teenager who is a girl child, and they abuse her because of the other needs that she has. So they say, tugenda kuwa chapati, this and this and this. And that's, for me, it's an immoral kind of behavior. I can't really tolerate such kind of thing. So if you know any girl in your community, or if you know anyone, kindly get back to us. We can be able to send through our menstrual hygiene packages. They are really available. And then plus the food hampers, they're also available. You can be able to send help to any family that you know that needs food. There's a family that needs food. We are able to be of help in such a season.
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. So guys, that is how you can partner. There's clothing, you can buy.
Yeah, there's menstrual hygiene. Yeah, yeah,
Cash, I guess they could do whatever they have to with that. But let's make sure that we actually are involved in the lives of the people in our communities. And it might not be what you think. So we need to know, how can we help? So, reach
yeah,
a hand, render a hand, as you would have it, Steve. And let us,
yeah,
be there for each other, because that is how they will know us, by our love, and how we love each
yeah,
other. So thank you
yeah.
so much, Steve, for coming. Guys, his Instagram is Stevens Tumushabe, but also the Render Outreaches. Instagram is Render Outreaches. So the contact information is all there, the
Yeah.
stories, the testimonies, the pictures. So go ahead and follow and get involved. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. You're welcome. Thank you for hosting me. Yeah.
We can do. There's so many things we can do physically. We can contribute, teaching, evangelism,
Yeah.
anything. If you
Yeah.
have a car that has a sticker, you can also help. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for now, bye guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this has blessed you and has somehow is going to lead you to actually get involved in your community. For now, bye. That is it. Thank you for joining my IG live. Thank you, Stevens, for coming. Bye.
Bye.